Hi guys. Oh my god, I'm just realizing I'm missing all my bracelets. Wow. How did I step outside the house without my bracelets? What? Anyways, wow, that's so weird. Anyways, welcome to my YouTube channel. Honestly, I kind of just want to jump straight into it. I think the title of this video, I don't know what it's gonna be yet, but I think it's gonna be self-explanatory, so I'm gonna just jump straight into it, right? But just to like preface this video a bit, I guess, I just want to read y'all a couple of, phrases, paragraphs, bars that I've taken with me from this book. This is my most recent read. I finished it yesterday, and I'm reading a different one now, which is just as exciting. And I was like, wow, this author just encapsulates everything that I'm thinking so coherently. So let's just share it with y'all, because maybe I'll relate. So basically, I'm gonna go through the entire book and read everything I underlined. It's probably gonna take a while, okay? So bear with me. But I promise you, it's actually so hard. Like, it's so goddamn hard. Like, Oliver, I don't know where he learned how to write like this, but yes. Okay, I feel like it's gonna make no sense, but it's okay. It'll make sense as a whole, I guess. You milked the cows when they needed milking and harvested the crops when it was harvest time. And anybody who tried to impose an external schedule on any of that, for example, by doing a month's milking in a single day to get it out of the way, or by trying to make the harvest come sooner, would rightly have been considered a lunatic. Worry, at its core, is the repetitive experience of a mind attempting to generate a feeling of security about the future, failing, then trying again and again and again, as if the very efforts of worrying might somehow help forestall disaster. It doesn't. It does not forestall disaster. It forestalls the present, if anything. Okay, so Blaise Pascal, I don't know how to say his name. He's a French mathematician, so I probably butchered that even more now that he's French. But he says, "So imprudent are we that we wander in the times which are not ours. We try to give the present the support of the future and to think of arranging matters which are not in our power for a time which we have no certainty of reaching." We have no certainty of reaching the future, yet we spend so much time organizing for it. Blaise Pascal? Y'all need to read him. Before, time was just a medium of which life unfolded, the stuff that life was made of. Afterwards, once time and life had been separated in most people's mind, time became a thing that you used, and it's this shift that serves as the precondition for all the uniquely modern ways in which we struggle with time today. It stops being merely the water in which you swim and turns into something you feel you need to dominate or control if you're to avoid feeling guilty, panicked, or overwhelmed. My productivity obsession had been serving a hidden emotional agenda. It helped me combat the sense of precariousness inherent to the modern world of work. But it also held at bay certain scary questions about what I was doing with my life and whether major changes might not be needed. If I could get enough work done, my subconscious had apparently concluded, I wouldn't need to ask if I was all that healthy to be deriving so much sense of my self-worth from work in the first place. And as long as I was always just on the cusp of mastering my time, I could avoid the thought that what life was really demanding from me might involve surrendering the craving for mastery and diving into the unknown instead. I don't think the feeling of anxiety ever completely goes away. We're even limited, apparently, in our capacity to embrace limitations. But I'm aware of no other time management technique that's half as effective as just facing the way things truly are. It also means resisting the seductive temptations to keep your options open, which is really just another way of trying to feel in control in favor of deliberately making big, daunting, irreversible commitments which you can't know in advance will turn out for the best, but which probably reliably prove more fulfilling in the end. You teach best what you most need to learn. We treat everything we're doing, life itself, in other words, as valuable only insofar as it lays the groundwork for something else. We don't treat it as valuable in the present, only as far as it lays the groundwork for something else. There is an alternative. The unfashionable but powerful notion of letting time use you, approaching life not as an opportunity to implement your predetermined plans for success, but as a matter of responding to the needs of your place in your moment in history. Your place in your moment. Next. But the other exasperating issue is that if you succeed in fitting more in, you'll find the goalposts start to shift. More things will begin to seem important, meaningful, or obligatory. The American historian Ruth Schwartz Cohen shows that when housewives first got access to labor-saving devices like washing machines or vacuum cleaners, no time was saved at all because society's standards of cleanliness simply rose to offset the benefits. Now that you could return each of your husband's shirts to a spotless condition after a single wearing, it began to feel like you should, to show how much you loved him. Work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Man! Who is writing this? It's just too good. Rendering yourself more efficient once generally result in the feeling of having enough time, because all else being equal, the demands will increase to offset any benefits. Far from getting things done, you'll be creating new things to do. And once you stop investing in the idea that you might one day achieve peace of mind that way, it becomes easier to find peace of mind in the present in the midst of overwhelming demands, because you're no longer making your peace of mind dependent on dealing with all the demands. I love this, bro. Like, he's so smart. I love me a smart author. I love it. Russian philosopher Alexander Herzen says, because children grow up, we think it's a child's purpose to grow up. But a child's purpose is to be a child. Nature doesn't disdain what only lives for a day. It pours the whole of itself into each moment. Life's bounty is in its flow. Later is too late. Let me do that again. Because children grow up, we think it's a child's purpose to grow up. It's not. But a child's purpose is to be a child. Nature doesn't disdain what only lives for a day. It pours the whole of itself into each moment. Life pours the whole of itself into each moment of life. Life's bounty is in its flow. Later is too late. Later is gonna be too late. It's the now. Life's bounty is in its flow. Oh my God, this one is so good, y'all. But smoothness, it turns out, is a dubious virtue, since it's often the unsmooth texture of life that makes it livable, helping nurture the relationships that are crucial for our mental and physical health and for the resilience of our communities. Convenience, in other words, makes things easy, but without regard to whether easiness is truly what's most valuable in any given context. Bro, it's straight bars. It's literally straight bars. And I wanna delve into these topics so much. Oh my god, I'm sweating. But I promised myself I wouldn't, so I have to be disciplined. But I was literally watching a video essay on YouTube today about convenience and how it's literally destroying all aspects of creativity. And I'm gonna read this again in case y'all missed it. Convenience, in other words, makes things easy, but without regard to whether easiness is truly what's most valuable in any given context. Okay? Hopefully you clocked that, because I clocked it. Next. Okay. Procrastination is a strategy of emotional avoidance, a way of trying not to feel the psychological distress that comes with acknowledging that he's a finite human being. Hopefully y'all can hear me from the AC. Have I been recording for no reason this whole time? Better to cherish an ideal fantasy than to resign himself to reality with all its limitations and unpredictability. Why do I keep saying that? It's not predictability, it's predictability. Unpredictability. Better to cherish an ideal fantasy than to resign himself to reality with all its limitations and unpredictability. Because we don't like limitations and we don't like unpredictability. So it's fantasy world that ends up winning all the time. But we need to, I need to shut up. That's what I need to do. Ooh! Bradatan, which is some painter, from what I recall, Bradatan argues that when we find ourselves procrastinating on something important to us, we're usually in some version of the same mindset. We fail to see or refuse to accept that any attempt to bring our ideas into concrete reality must inevitably fall short of our dreams, no matter how brilliantly we succeed in carrying things off. Because reality, unlike fantasy, is a realm in which we don't have limitless control, and we can't possibly hope to meet our perfectionist standards. Something will always render our creation less than perfect. Dispiriting as this might sound at first, it contains a liberating message. If you're procrastinating on something because you're worried you won't do a good enough job, you can relax, because judged by the flawless standards of your own imagination, you definitely won't do a great job. So you might as well make a start. Yes, I agree. Oliver. In other words, it's easy for me to fantasize about, say, a life spent achieving stellar professional success, while also excelling as a parent and partner, while also dedicating myself to training for marathons or lengthy meditation retreats or volunteering in my community, because so long as I'm only fantasizing, I get to imagine all of them unfolding simultaneously and flawlessly. As soon as I start trying to live any of those lives, though, I'll be forced to make trade-offs, to put less time that I like into one of those domains so as to make space for another, and to accept that nothing I do will go perfectly anyway, with the result that my actual life will inevitably prove disappointing by comparison to the fantasy. Quote, "The idea of the future, pregnant with an infinity of possibilities, is thus more fruitful than the future itself. And this is why we find more charm in hope than in possession, in dreams than in reality." End quote. And this is by the French philosopher Oliver Burkeman. That Frenchman was philosophizing. That's one thing. Into my ears. Luckily, there's people looking at me talk to myself, and it's hilarious, but it's okay. I'll keep going. This is another quote from Gooden, who is Robert Gooden, American political theorist. And he says, "You must settle in a relatively enduring way upon something that will be the object of your striving in order for that striving to count as striving. You can't become an ultra successful lawyer or artist or politician without first settling on law or art or politics, and therefore deciding to forego the potential rewards of other careers. If you flit between them all, you'll succeed in none of them. Likewise, there's no possibility of a romantic relationship being truly fulfilling unless you're willing, at least for a while, to settle for that specific relationship with all its imperfections, which means spurring the seductive lure of an infinite number of superior imaginary alternatives." Imaginary alternatives. Okay? Imaginary. Clock imaginary. We need to clock imaginary. In other words, the cause of your difficulties isn't that your partner is especially flawed or that the two of you are especially incompatible, but that you're finally noticing all the ways in which your partner is inevitably finite, and thus deeply disappointing by comparison with the world of your fantasy, where the limiting rules of reality do not apply. In consciously making a commitment, they're closing off their fantasies of infinite possibility in favor of what I described in previous chapters as the joy of missing out. The recognition that the renunciation of alternatives is what makes their choice a meaningful one in the first place. I'm gonna repeat that, okay? The joy of missing out. The recognition that the renunciation of alternatives is what makes their choice a meaningful one in the first place. The fact that you gave up on X to focus on Z is what makes Z meaningful. Okay? So next time you get FOMO, fear of missing out, remember that, okay? There's JOMO, joy of missing out. This one's short. Your attention gets wrenched away by things on which you never wanted to focus. Agreed. Honestly, I don't know. Do I agree with that? I guess we won't find out or I know, but y'all won't find out because I am not allowed to speak on this episode, okay? I need to stick to the plan. I said I would not be talking. I am not talking on this. I'm just like spitting facts. A reason why I'm doing that is that I want y'all to take whatever y'all like from it. I don't wanna. We can spur a discussion in the comments, but I'm not gonna go into all these subjects because they're so deep and so intricate that it's of no use for me to just sit here and talk about it. I might as well converse with y'all in the comments if it sparks conversation. My mouth is dry. This is like a yapping session for me, which I love. Okay. Okay, so here it talks about the attention economy. I know I said that I wouldn't be giving context, but I feel like this is needed. It's essentially a giant machine for persuading you to make the wrong choices about what to do with your attention and therefore with your finite life, by getting you to care about things you didn't want to care about in the first place. And then to exemplify these so-called choices that you make and how they affect your finite life, he goes on to say, if social media convinces you, for example, that violent crime is a far bigger problem in your city than it really is, you might find yourself walking the streets with unwarranted fear, staying home instead of venturing out, and avoiding interactions with strangers, and voting for a demagogue with a tough on crime platform. So, it's not simply that our devices distract us from more important matters, it's that they change how we're defining important matters in the first place. In the words of the philosopher Harry Frankfurt, they sabotage our capacity to want what we want to want. So we don't want what we want to want anymore. We want what they want us to want. And they make it seem as if we wanted that in the first place. I need to shut up. And then Tristan Harris, which is a technology critic, goes on to say, we mustn't let Silicon Valley off the hook, but we should be honest with ourselves. Much of the time, we give in to the distractions willingly. Something in us wants to be distracted, to not spend our lives on what we thought we cared about the most. The calls are coming from inside the house. Okay, next. Am I at halfway? I'm not even at halfway. Damn! I've been filming for 30 minutes. 30 minutes? Did you know you have 30 minutes? Anyways, let's hurry up because the girl's mouth is dry. I wish I had my glasses. Really, no matter how far ahead you plan, you never get to relax in the certainty that everything's going to go the way you like. Then, this other guy says, take no thought of the tomorrow, for the tomorrow shall take the thought for the things of itself. And this one's funny. Do you first century working class Galileans really lead such problem-free lives that it makes sense to invent additional problems by fretting about what might happen tomorrow? Do y'all really? Do y'all? Cause I don't. So I don't have time for none of that. Actually, I do. I am the biggest overthinker. She's treating the present solely as a path to some superior future state. Even if she does get her workload under control or meet her soulmate, she'll just find another reason to postpone her fulfillment until later on. And then Alan Watts says, he's a new age philosopher, and I posted this on my Instagram because it was so good. People are like donkeys running after carrots that are hanging in front of their faces from sticks attached to their collars. They are never here, they never get there, they are never alive. Pay attention, okay? The problem is that the effort to be present in the moment, though it seems like the exact opposite of the instrumentalist, future-focused mindset I've been criticizing in this chapter, is in fact just a slightly different version of it. You're so fixated on trying to make the best use of your time, in this case, not for some later outcome, but for an enriching experience of life right now, that it obscures the experience itself. You're putting in such great effort on experiencing the now that you actually don't experience the now because your thoughts are clouded by trying to experience the now. But all you have to do is be in the now because we are already in the now. We don't need to try. We don't need to make an effort to be in the now because we are the now. We are time. We are moments of life. Life is in us. We are life. So we can't try. We can't put in the work. We can't make an effort to be live because we already are. That is redundant. I like that one. Okay, let's keep going. By the way, guys, I was trying a different hairstyle today. I don't know if y'all like it. It's kind of cute, huh? It's just like a curly type of situation. Anyways, moving on. Okay guys, so there is actually no moving on because it was taking way too long and we're only halfway done with the book. So I decided to split it into two parts. So this is part 1 and part 2 is incoming. Thank you so much for watching. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. Till next time. Mwah.